Summer Lightning by P.G.Wodehouse. Read by Martin Jarvis. Blandings Castle slept in the sunshine. Ripples of heat mist played across its smooth lawns. The air was full of the lulling drone of insects. It was that gracious hour of a summer afternoon, midway between luncheon and tea, when nature seems to unbutton its waistcoat and put its feet up. In the shade of a laurel bush outside the back of this stately home of England, Beach, butler to Clarence, 9th Earl of Emsworth, its proprietor, sat sipping the contents of a long glass and reading a weekly paper devoted to the doings of society and the stage. His attention had just been arrested by a photograph on one of the inner pages. For perhaps a minute he scrutinized it. Then, with a fruity chuckle, he took a penknife from his pocket, cut out the photograph, and placed it in the recesses of his costume. At this moment, the laurel bush, which had hitherto not spoken, said, "Psst!" The butler started violently. "Beach," said the bush. Something was now peering out of it. The butler recognized his employer's secretary, Mr. Hugo Carmody, a tall young man with light hair. "Startle you, Beach?"
"Extremely, sir."
"I'm sorry. Beach, do you want to earn a quid?" The butler's austerity softened.
"Yes, sir."
"Can you get hold of Miss Millicent alone?"
"Certainly, sir."
"Then give her this note, and don't let anyone see you do it, especially, and this is where I want you to follow me very closely, Beach, Lady Constance Keble."
"I will attend to the matter immediately, sir."
Trousering the wages of sin, he said,
"Perhaps you are not aware, sir, that her ladyship went up to London on the 3:30 train."
"You mean," said Hugo, "that all this Red Indian stuff, creeping from bush to bush, has simply been a waste of time?" He emerged, dusting his clothes. "I wish I'd known that before. I've severely injured a good suit." Relieved by the information that the X-ray eye of the aunt of the girl he loved was operating elsewhere, Mr. Carmody became conversational. "You know, Beach, life's rummy. Here I am at Blandings Castle, loving it, and yet when the project of my coming here was first placed on the agenda, I don't mind telling you, the heart was rather bowed down with woe."
"Indeed, sir?"
"Yes. If you knew the circumstances, you would understand why." Beach did know the circumstances. There were few facts concerning the dwellers in Blandings Castle of which he remained in ignorance for long. He was aware that young Mr. Carmody had been, until a few weeks back, co-proprietor with Mr. Ronald Fish, Lord Emsworth's nephew, of a nightclub called the Hot Spot, that it had proved a financial failure, that Mr. Ronald had gone off with his mother, Lady Julia Fish, to recuperate at Biarritz, and that Hugo, on the insistence of Ronnie, had come to Blandings as Lord Emsworth's private secretary.
"No doubt you were reluctant to leave London, sir?"
"Exactly. But now, Beach, as far as I'm concerned, anyone who likes can have London. To dwell in, give me Blandings Castle. And now that old Ron is coming here, joy, as you might say, will be unconfined."
"Is Mr. Ronald expected, sir?"
"Tomorrow, or the day after. I had a letter from him this morning. Oh, which reminds me, he sends his regards to you and asks me to tell you to put your shirt on baby bones for the Medbury selling plate." The butler looked dubious.
"A long shot, sir, not generally fancied. And yet Mr. Ronald is usually very reliable. It is many years now since he first began to advise me in these matters, and I have done remarkably well by following him. Even as a lad at Eton, he was always singularly fortunate in his information."
"Well, suit yourself," said Hugo. "What was that thing you were cutting out of the paper just now?"
"A photograph of Mr. Galahad, sir. I keep an album in which I paste items of interest relating to the family. Would you care to see the clipping, sir? There is a reference to Mr. Galahad's literary work."
The photograph showed the perky features of a dapper little gentleman in the late 50s. Beneath it ran a caption,
The Hon. Galahad Threepwood, brother of the Earl of Emsworth. A little bird tells us that Gally is at Blandings Castle, Shropshire, the ancestral seat of the family, busily engaged in writing his reminiscences. As every member of the old brigade will testify, they ought to be as warm as the weather, if not warmer.